Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, January 22nd. I am so happy to see all of you checking in here today. I am Linda, of course, and this is,
Carl.
who is this? Carl. And we are Colourwerx Designs coming to you from the Colourwerx Design House here in beautiful but cloudy Palm Desert. And today is... Yay! Yes, today is Fab Friday. Thank you all for joining us today. Please make sure, leave a comment, let us know if we're streaming okay, like and share this, and also please make sure that you check out our Colourwerx YouTube channel so you can subscribe and get pinged whenever we do a new tutorial, which we do load up about once or twice a week. So make sure you check all that out, and also let us know if you're hearing everything okay too. This is episode number 29, in case I didn't say it. We are doing a kind of a quick check-in today. We've got a tutorial for you on quarter square triangles, tips and tricks and how to make them. And I think that's it. So who's checking in from where? Let's just say hellos to everybody. Is that Julie? Julie. Oh, that's nice. Julie, good morning to the bright spots in my week. Well, you guys are the bright spots in our week. So to you too. I'm going to kiss you guys for being here and showing up this morning. Who else is checking in, Carl? Kimberly, good morning from Pennsylvania. I hope you're not snowed in. We're not, of course, but you know, hopefully you're warm and cozy and quilting, Kim. So, and Suzanne, good morning from, where is that? Vista, sorry, he went by so quickly with these comments. Sorry.
Am I going too
I don't know.
today?
And Denise, good morning, Denise. How are you? You guys are so nice, all checking in from everywhere across the country. Arizona, hello. We have lots of friends in Arizona. So hello to Arizona and North Carolina. Pat, good morning to everybody in North Carolina, especially Pinehurst, Southern Pines, and Aberdeen, which is where we used to live. And who else, Carl?
Oh, that was Mary.
Mary.
From Santa Margarita. Am I going too quick for you this morning?
I don't know. No, you're not going too quickly for me.
Okay.
We're just saying hello.
Texas.
Hey, Kay, how are you? How is big Texas? Don't mess with Texas. Is that right? Okay, let's get right on it. Let's talk about, should we check in with the cactus cam? Is anything going on out there in the cactus cam before we lose it? It's a beautiful day. Look at that. It's a beautiful day in the desert. It's kind of slightly overcast and it's a little bit windy. And that is our cactus cam there, of course, looking out on the beautiful 15th hole of where we live here, although I don't see any golfers. Look, wind. Wind. Oh, look, you're getting some activity there. But we do have lots of ducks mating around the property. So they're getting ready for their spring ducklings, I guess. You know, ducks are, of course, monogamous. Is that right? And
I've never dated one.
Well, I know. I haven't dated a duck either, but I do think that they mate for life in pairs, and well, you couldn't mate for life in triples, could you? I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. So anyway, that was the cactus cam. Last week's question, so we can give away the $10 Colourwerx gift card because all of you guys go into the random thingamajizer every week. Okay, so last week's question and last week's tutorial was half square triangles, yay or nay. So if you didn't check in with us last week, go check out episode 28. You can find it in the Colourwerx YouTube channel. You can find it up on the Facebook Colourwerx page. Just scroll the past videos. It's episode 28, and we did tips and tricks for half square triangles. So last week's question was half square triangles, yay or nay, and the random winner is... Well, congratulations, Carolyn Stiegel. You have won a $10 Colourwerx gift card. We're going to get that to you via email. And there's no expiration on these gift cards. You just use it whenever you want. It's going to be electronic. So when you order online, you just tap in those that coupon code or that code number to get your $10 Colourwerx gift card to take whatever off your order. So congratulations, Carolyn. Everybody stay tuned. We always put everybody in the random thingamajizer to win a $10 Colourwerx gift card every single week we're here. So shall we just go right into it? Shall we just go right into the tutorial of quarter square triangles? I think we should. Let's go over to the overhead board. There we are. Let me just take a little sip of water. Okay, I'm on my way over here to the overhead board on this bright pink Olfa cutting board we have. This is a quarter square triangle. So usually you actually, normally you would put like background colors here and then two other colors here, but you could put all 4 different fabrics here and make a whole bunch of assortment of different blocks. Today, I just want to share with you tips and tricks about how to make the quarter square triangle. So let's start with the first general rule of thumb. We're going to talk about now, you have to figure out what the finished size of your quarter square triangle is. So in this example I'm using today, my finished size is going to be 3 inches. And these are now 3.5 inches because that's an unfinished size. So finished size, for anybody new to quilting, finished size means once it's sewn in on all 4 sides, meaning once it's sewn into a block, once it's sewn into a quilt, it's sewn in on all 4 sides, the finished size is 3. The unfinished size, of course, is going to be about a ½ inch larger than that. So unfinished is 3.5. So once you figure out what the finished size that you want your quarter square triangle to be, the general rule of thumb is to add, before you cut your units, 1¼ inches larger. So if my finished size is 3 inches, I'm going to cut these units starting with 4.5. Is that right?
Yeah.
4.25 or 4.5 inch size blocks. So I actually add a little ½ inch sometimes, I mean a little 1/4 inch to that when I'm feeling like I'm being sloppy. So the general rule of thumb is if the finished size, let's say for this example, is 3, you're going to want to cut your starting units anywhere from 1¼ inches larger. And if you're me and you're not feeling too good on your 1/4 inch that day, you might cut them 1.5 inches larger. So why not give yourself a little room there? Let's talk about how we start to make these. Okay, you start the same way we started last week. You're going to start with, let's say, your fabrics here. This is my background fabric, these black squares. Okay, and we're going to make ½ square triangles. So we're simply going to put right sides together, just like we did last week. We've drawn a line on the back side of these top squares right here. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch to either side of this line and a 1/4 inch to either side of this line. I'm going to make ½ square triangles similar to how I made last week's ½ square triangles. So what do I get with that? Here I've got my ½ square triangles, and they're sewn on either side of that line, if you can see. And you do have to be slightly accurate when you're making 1/4 square triangles. So you can't take this enormous 1/4 inch seam. You do need to try to be as accurate as you can. But once you go a 1/4 inch to either side of those lines, we're just going to simply now cut these in half, just like we did last week when we were making ½ square triangles. So this is the beginning. We're making ½ square triangles. And if I had an iron near me, I would actually press these really well. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to kind of finger press them. And you get that. So let me show you. Let me move these off because I already have some made. So for every 2 squares I put in, I'm going to get 2 ½ square triangles out of what I made. So I actually have 4 squares here. So what I'm going to do now is make a 1/4 square triangle, and I only need to use 2, one blue, one red, or opposing fabrics. So how do I start my 1/4 square triangles? I like to put this up like this, which means just the background up to the right-hand side. And I'm going to take the opposing fabric, and I'm going to put it right sides together on top of that background. Can you see that? So I've got a colored fabric on top of a black background. When I put a line down the middle here and sew to either side of that line, just like I did with a ½ square triangle, you see there comes the 1/4 square triangle. And I actually have one done. So you can see I've got a big line there. Now normally you wouldn't be that dark with your line, but I'm doing that for you guys so you can see my line, which is a Frixion pen. And I have sewn fairly accurately a 1/4 inch seam to either side of that line. And if I open this up before I cut it apart, I've got a 1/4 square triangle over there, and I've got another one here. So again, every 2 ½ square triangles that go together make you 2 1/4 square triangles. I'm going to now cut this apart on the line. And of course, when I press this nice and neat, that'll become a little square, 1/4 square triangle that needs to be squared down. However, can you see that I am not particularly pleased with my center point? Now this is really being fussy, but sometimes I do get fussy, and I like those center points to match. I like them to be perfectly matched there. So sometimes what I do is I actually, instead of starting with two half square triangles like this and drawing a line, sometimes what I do, and this I have to be very careful when I do this because I'm going to expose the bias, I take and I cut these in half and I create two triangles out of each one. Now, a lot of people say, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Why? Because you're exposing the bias here. But if I want to make a really scrappy border quilt with quarter square triangles, I do this as well because then I can mix everything up and get a whole bunch of different combinations going on. If I leave it the way I had it before, I only get a certain amount of combinations there. This way, I've got a bunch of different combinations. But better than that, when I start to pair these up, sorry, wait a minute. When I start to pair these up like so, I'm able to actually completely and accurately match this center seam no matter what, because I have seams going in opposite directions, if you can see that, because I've pressed to the dark side on both half square triangles when I made them. And now I'm able to pin this center point if I need to, or just completely hold it tight and nest those two seams together, as well as line up these little tips. Again, when you sew this, and you're going to sew down the diagonal edge here, you need to be very careful because you've got exposed bias edges here. But what does that create for me? And I have, of course, one done for you. It creates the fact that I can actually accurately match that center seam every single time. So that is just another way of doing it. You would still start by cutting all your squares 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inches larger than your finished size. And it's up to you whether or not you want to actually just put two whole half square triangle blocks together and do the first method, or cut everybody in half and make triangles like this and match the center seams and then put them together. Regardless, you're going to end up, when you get done with whatever method you choose, you're going to end up with something that looks like this. And they have to be squared down. So this is the next thing. Now we have to have a little math going on. So I need to square this guy down because I want my finished size to be 3 inches. So my unfinished size is going to be 3 1/2. So the first thing I have to say to myself is, Linda, what's half of 3 1/2? Well, half of 3 1/2 is 1 3/4 inches. And I need to place my square ruler of the crosshairs of where that 1 3/4 inch mark is on my square ruler directly dead center in where all these little triangles intersect in the center in order to square this down properly. I'm looking for my pointer and I can't find it, but I'll use this. So if you can see on my ruler, I've got a little piece of blue tape right there. That little tiny dot, and they sell little dots in the quilt shop that you can mark your rulers with. I just use a little painter's tape sometime, but this is marking the 1 3/4 inch mark of my ruler. And this is the Creative Grids ruler, 6 1/2 inch square ruler. I like these. Because they have lots of markings on them to follow and this nice strong diagonal line here. So I've got, remember, I'm squaring down to 3 1/2. So I've marked my ruler, and this is just a little piece of painter's tape at 1 3/4. And why? Because 1 3/4 is half of 3 1/2. So whatever you're squaring down to, if you're going to square down to 4 1/2 inches, then you would mark your ruler at 2 1/4. I'm going to take this little crosshair or mark I've made on my ruler, and if you can see, I don't know if you can see it, I've got the blue little dot directly over the center of where the triangles come together in the crosshairs here. What's Carl doing? He's going to try to do something, I think. But regardless, once you've got that blue dot, that mark directly in the center of your quarter square triangle, line up the diagonal line of your square ruler across your diagonal seam lines here. And then you're ready to start squaring down. And you can see with this method, I'm taking off just a little hair on either side. I'm going to flip it now 180 degrees. Again, put the dot or the middle of whatever you're squaring down to the center into the center of your block, like so, and square it down to, for this purpose, 3.5. And this gets rid of all those little dog ears on the edges too that get into your seams and bulk it up and things like that. So again, we're going to do that again. I'm putting, because I'm squaring down to 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, half of that is 1 3/4. I'm putting the 1 3/4 inch mark dead center of this quarter square triangle. I line up my diagonal line first across this strong diagonal line of the block. I square, or trim, I mean, top and right edges. Get rid of all that stuff. Flip the block 180 degrees. Go ahead and put that little center mark you've made back in the center of your block. I need to put my head in there, sorry, to see where I'm going here. And square down, again, the right and top edges. And you come up with these beautiful, perfectly square, perfectly in the center, quarter square triangles. So what can you do with a quarter square triangle? What can you make with a quarter square triangle? Well, all sorts of things. So you could do like a little pinwheel. I love pinwheel blocks, and this is a really fun one. So you could do like a little pinwheel block, depending on where you place your fabrics, like that. Can you see that in the center? You can do, Carl came up with this one, a little zigzag if you want to. So if I offset these by 1/2 and kind of do that, can you see I'm making this little zigzag? And of course, depending on your fabric selection, you'd have a zigzag running down here and things like that. You can make a fabulous, scrappy looking, like diamond shaped border or quilt like this, depending on how big the block is. And this really helps with that one method that I talked about where you cut the actual square in half and create triangles like this. If you created a bunch of triangles, being careful not to stretch them on the bias, and then put them together into quarter square triangle block formation like this, and then square them down, that makes a beautifully, beautifully scrappy quilt. Now, sometimes you want to add a little end cap here because you want to complete the diamond shape, like so. That's like a little end cap. Can you see that? A little end cap comes on, if that were a border, and it completes the diamond shape, and it makes the diamonds look like they're floating in your border. Well, how do you do this? Well, this is super easy. This is half of a triangle made up of a fabric and your background, and then just a triangle of your background or whatever fabric you're going to choose. So how do I do that? How do I make that? Well, here, I've got a triangle. This was from a half square triangle. I cut it in half. So I have black on one side and my fabric on the other. I'm going to take a piece of my background fabric. Again, this is cut 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 larger than I want the finished size to be. I'm just going to half this triangle. Now remember, I've exposed the biased edges, so I need to be careful here. I just fold these two over each other, line them up as best as possible, sew down that diagonal line, being careful not to stretch it, and then once I square it down, I end up with this unit here. You can see it on the back side a little bit better. So, and what can you do with this? Well, again, this makes a really fun kind of pinwheel looking, floating pinwheel, if you will. If I put 4 of these together, right, here we go. I've got this like floating pinwheel thing. It looks so cool. So again, that is a quarter square triangle. And there's many, 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 many different ways of using the quarter square triangle depending on your fabric formation. And I want to show you our Mod Frog quilt. So this is our Mod Frog pattern that I made a long time ago. It was from Lindarella's too. But you can see this is all quarter square triangles going on here that float around the little frog here. And so this was all done the same way. The block is right there. Can you see it? Quarter square triangle, background fabric, 2 scrappy fabrics on either side. It was done with half square triangles first. I don't know if you can see that. So that's a half square triangle right there. That's a half square triangle right there. 2 halves go together, square it down. Once you square everybody down to the same common denominator, this goes together beautifully, beautifully fast. You're not cutting off your points because everybody's down to the same common denominator. The corner here, actually made from making a half square triangle of 2 different scrappy fabrics, and then just adding a square, like I just showed you, of the background cut in half, with making a triangle, and then they go together and you square them down. So that's just another use for quarter square triangles. Let me know if you have any questions at all. We're going to segue also, a really bad segue, but go ahead and put your questions in the comment section if you have any questions on quarter square triangles, half square triangles, anything like that. Speaking of half square triangle, here comes the bad segue. Half square triangles are also used in the all stacked up quilt. And so this is our quilt along going on as I maneuver around the room here. Our all stacked up quilt along just started. Our first week was this week on Tuesday. And if you want to jump in, you can. You can check us out at the Colourwerx quilt along page. And all you need to do to join the quilt along is to actually get the all stacked up pattern, and all of our quilt alongs remain up on our website forever. And so you can check out the blog, my Colourwerx blog, for other past quilt alongs. You can check out the quilt along page. So don't fear if you're not starting right away. You want to start this quilt maybe in 2 weeks. All of the blog posts and companion videos will still be up on the Colourwerx page for you. But that is going on, and we'll be venturing into week number 2 next Tuesday. And then I'll give you some tips and tricks on half square triangles as well, because that's what's in the background of this particular quilt as well. So that was our little tip and trick on the building block basics tutorial for quarter square triangles. I hope that helps and gives you some inspiration and some ideas of what to do with quarter square triangles. And of course, you can make up all these designs, just do them out on graph paper, or even like Carl suggested in one tutorial, taking some construction paper and actually just start to sew the construction paper together and create a block without wasting any fabric. So you can have fun testing all these blocks out. Any questions on that tutorial, you guys? Carl, do we have any questions?
Yes.
Oh my God, what, you guys?
Okay.
Kay says, won't you lose your points when you add sashing or a border? No, because when you sew them together and you start piecing them together in the blocks, you're going to end up with a 1/4 inch seam allowance of your background fabric there. So I don't think I have, oh, wait, let me grab something. Actually, go to the overhead again, Carl, so I can answer this question for Kay.
Okay.
So, Kay, so here's your answer to your question. Oh, I found my purple thing, by the way. This is the most fabulous, am I in the middle? This is the most fabulous little tool. It's called the purple thing, if you don't know that. And it really is called that. It is great. It's got a 1/4 inch this little square actually represents a 1/4 inch right here. It's got a little hole to put elastic through. It's got a little stiletto point to help you turn things out or use on your machine. So this is a really handy, like $6 tool at the Notion Center.
When you don't lose it on your cutting board.
When I don't lose it underneath all this other fabric.
Yes.
So Kay was asking, don't you lose your 1/4 inch points? And I believe I'm going to answer her question here. But can you see, I've actually put 1/4 inch or quarter square triangles together to make this border. And what happens when I start to piece them together is I end up with a 1/4 inch seam allowance at the top where this black is. Can you see it right there? Hopefully Carl will let me know if I'm pointing, and hopefully that will answer Kay's question, because once you start piecing things together, that 1/4 inch seam allowance appears. So when you go to piece this border into your quilt in the final steps, you will use that 1/4 inch seam allowance of the background on the top and bottom so that you don't cut off your points. I hope that answered your question, Kay. Okay, coming back.
Racing back.
What is next?
We have one from Julie.
Julie says, what? Oh, notebook hole reinforces donut style work great. What? I'm confused. What? You have to bring that comment back up. I didn't get that comment.
Okay.
Notebook hole. Oh, notebook hole reinforcers work great. Yes.
Use them as
oh,
targets.
What a great tip, Julie. Thank you. Sorry, I was like having a slow moment there. Yes, those little white notebook reinforcers for when we were all in high school and all your notebook paper would get rips in the holes that would go in the notebook. Yes, those are actually, that's a great tip. They're like little white, if anybody doesn't know, little white circles with a hole in the middle. They look like a donut, and they're adhesive on one side, and those are actually, I have to go get some. What a great tip, Julie. Thank you.
Kay's another question.
Kay, yes. Kay's getting back into quilting. Kay does beautiful. In case anybody doesn't know, Kay Witt over at Serendipity Studios That's her website, serendipitystudios.com. Does beautiful, beautiful bags, purses, clothing, masks. So if you're looking to, up your mask game and you don't want to make a mask, Kay has some beautiful masks.
And designs.
And designs. And beautiful clothing patterns too. So what was Kay's question? I'm sorry. It was, I see that. Do you ever press your seams open instead? Yes. So you can press your seams open if you'd like, or you can press them to one side. It's kind of a personal preference what you want to do there. But yes, either way will work. And Kay says, I'm actually at, oh, sorry, thank you, there it is, soserendipity.com. Soserendipity.com is Kay's website. Please go check her out. She has beautiful clothing patterns, beautiful bag patterns, and a longtime friend from meeting at Quilt Market years and years and years ago. So thank you, Kay. Anything else? Anybody before we bug out of here? Oh, we'll have check-ins. Carl likes it, I think, when everybody checks in. Okay, Denise, good morning from Folsom. Hello, Denise.
Jennifer from Palm
Jen,
Springs.
hi, Jen.
Connie's checking in.
Hi,
It's
Connie.
like snowy there.
Oh my, what?
I don't know.
And Florida, hi, Nancy. Beautiful Florida. And from Tennessee, hello, Kelly. How are you doing? And hi, Nedra from Gilbert. Oh, yay, the Arizona peeps are here. Okay.
And Carolyn says thank you.
Carolyn, congratulations. She is our winner this week, in case anybody wants to know. But yes, she is the winner. Okay, let's move on to this week's question, since that was a great segue into the $10 Colourwerx gift card winner for next week. The question, of course, is quarter square triangles, yay or nay? Do you like this? Quarter square triangles, yay or nay? And I might add that next week's tutorial is going to be square in a square, which has to do with half square triangles and then a square in a square. So these are wonderful ways of doing. The square in a square block is a great way of making what I call like an I Spy quilt for kids, or if you're trying to do a fussy cut square in the center, like you want to showcase a motif or something like that, and then you want to put some other blocks around it. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on that next week called Square in a Square. But before I bug out for the weekend, I have to show you, this will be Richard Simmons' Chia Pet last episode, you guys. Anybody who's been following the last couple weeks knows that Carl gave me for Christmas, here it is, the Richard Simmons Chia Pet. This was my Christmas gift this year. I have nursed and nurtured Richard all week long, I must tell you. I have had watering him. I have put bags over him to create a kind of a greenhouse look. And, you know, we're going to bring up a couple pictures here, but Richard's just not doing too well. Oh, this is why it's going to be Richard's last week here. Oh, yeah. Look at it. It's horrible. So we have this huge, I don't know. There, we did a close-up for you guys all. It's horrible. It's funny, but it's horrible. Look, all his chest hair fell off the first couple days. He's not growing any hair on top of his head, even though I spray it every day. I keep him filled with water and all this other stuff. He's got this enormous, huge mullet of what looks like to be alfalfa sprouts there on the backside. And he's not even growing. It's horrible. It's just with the expression and everything else going on there, it's horrible. This is Richard's, unfortunately, Richard Simmons' Chia Pet last show with us. He's retiring to the trash can as we speak after this show. So bye-bye, Richard. I loved taking care of you for the week, kind of, sort of. But I just am no good at growing Chia Pets. I just don't know. It's look at it. It's horrible. He's got this big bald spot back there too. I meticulously put all these seeds on. I spent hours putting these seeds on. And then what was worse is I spent hours every day putting him in the sun, doing exactly what the directions said, put a bag over him for the greenhouse effect. No, sorry. That is it. No more Chia Pet presents in this house, Carl. No. I'm putting my foot down. No more Chia Pet presents. Anyway, you guys have been great to indulge us in the little sense of humor, little humor on Richard Simmons' Chia Pet. Please share and like this video with all of your friends as always. We so appreciate, I have to tell you guys, we so appreciate everybody showing up here every week with us for Fab Friday. I don't think there's anything else going on out there, is there, in the Cactus Cam?
No, it's just
No, it's just over.
It's a gray day.
It's a gray day. It's
Look at the
overcast,
clouds,
but it's
of
kind of
course,
nice for the desert to have a gray day, I
we need
think.
some rain though.
Anyway, we are going to be out of here for the weekend. Just go check out the All Stacked Up Quilt Along if you'd like. You can go over to the Colourwerx Quilt Along page and join that, or just follow us along on our blog. Again, next week, like I said, we will be back with another building block basics tutorial. Square and a square. We're going to do that. And we are out of here. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. We love you guys all. Happy coloricious quilting always. To all my Colourwerx peeps, we really appreciate you all checking in every week with us. We love you. Talk to you later. Mwah.